And we are live on the tube again, John. Can't stop, won't stop. Right on
Beautiful
time,
Monday.
basically, today.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Today's Monday. I'm just checking the video here to make sure it's up. And it is. People will tell us if there's any issues. All right, here we are. Trey Lance, man. Been watching.
Big day in Fargo, North Dakota.
Big day for him. Alex Smith retired. Man. Are you kidding me? You saw there's only one. Aaron Rodgers is the only guy left from the 05 draft class now. I think Gil Brandt tweeted that.
That's a pretty remarkable stat.
It's an incredible stat.
I was thinking a lot, we'll get into Alex, but it's one of those guys whose career, to me, it's very rare in this day and age to go from a bust / not very good to leaving all-time respect. I think people are going to view him as a winner.
Yep.
And they might change the comeback. I was watching a little NFL Network before you and I jumped on here, and they were saying that there is definitely momentum. That award's probably going to get renamed the Alex Smith Award.
The Comeback Player of the Year award?
Yeah, for what he overcame. I mean, I think it should, don't you? I mean,
that's a great idea.
Bodies. There's never going to be.
Especially, it's not like I don't want to take it from somebody else. Sometimes something was named after someone in the 50s, and it's like, no, let's.
Like the college awards, right? Bolitnikoff or whatever. Just leave them what they are. Nagurski.
Although, did you see? There's one college award. I don't know which one it is. Which one is for linemen and linebackers?
The Outland.
I don't think. I think the Outland's just
linemen. Yeah,
linemen. There was one award that was for linebackers and linemen, and 4 years ago they went to everybody. We're just going to be an award for everybody. And, of course, they lost cachet because now you're the 5th Player of the Year award. So they just announced after 4 they're going to go back to just being that award.
So it's basically you're saying a front 7 award?
I think it might include O-lineman too. I don't remember which one it is.
See, to me, that's already
Lombardi,
two people.
But
don't you think it's easy just the wide receiver, the Bolitnikoff, right? The whatever the quarterback, the Unitas Award. It's just very black and white. Just give it to the best player at position. I enjoy that night. Because Saban, Dabo, they're always there. A couple players. You got Fowler up there, kind of smoothing. I think it's kind of a fun night.
Let's look at some. We usually go comments at the end. We'll go some comments at the end, but let's before we dive into a couple things, let's engage some people. We appreciate the positivity, Max. Happy Monday. Hell yeah. Dirty Dizzle says still leaning Fields as of now. Greg says, I'm going to miss Alex in the league. Roy says, hammer that like button. Thank you. Best comeback player of the year ever, no doubt. Gold-Blooded 21 says, Joe Montana retired on this day as well?
Small world.
Is that true?
Seems kind of weird timing, back in 95 or 94. Joe Montana hangs him up around the draft. I didn't know. I mean, we were young. Somebody
said Frank Gore is still around. Yeah, Frank is in that draft. That's right. So maybe was the stat first rounders? Or is Frank the only guy left? And I think it was Gil Brandt that tweeted it. Got to go back and look on that stat of the only guy from 05. Jesse says, was it the Nagurski trophy? Was that the one that tried to go for everybody?
I tried to go to Twitter on my phone and I can't because I don't have it.
Andrew Coker says, I hope we don't get macaroni arm Jones.
I think it's fair to say that it doesn't feel like Mac Jones is happening anymore.
All right.
Gil Brandt's tweet
was...
With Alex Smith retiring, Aaron Rodgers now stands alone. So he's
counting Frank as retired?
I don't think he's even talking about the draft. I just think he's talking about that pick.
No, I thought he tweeted something about the last person. Maybe he deleted it.
He said, with Alex Smith retiring, Aaron Rodgers now stands alone. I take a look at the 2005 draft recently and shared the inside story of how things unfolded. So maybe he deleted the tweet.
Maybe it changed.
Maybe he got exposed for Frank.
All right, this is a good place to jump off here, John. Jaeger 805. This is someone who drinks 805 and drinks Jaeger. Says, or someone named Jaeger from the 805. Says, anyone seen the footage of Trey Lance's second pro day? Actually, we have it for you. All right, let's dive into Trey Lance here, and then we'll get back to your comments. So give us your thoughts as we go. All right, here we go. All right, Middlecoff. Trey Lance, second pro day because Kyle Shanahan wants, Kyle Shanahan gets. Already got the Bose. You got the Bose headphone endorsement going. The T-shirt though.
The T-shirt's sweet. Quarterback
that is
you
strong
for an FCS school, and then you're like, yeah, they got Carson Wentz, Cooper Rush, and they got this guy. They're gonna have two guys.
Wait, Easton Stick. Was he
Who
one
did
of
I
those
say?
two?
I said Cooper Rush. Yeah, Easton Stick. Cooper Rush, Easton Stick, similar names somehow.
Cooper Rush the.
I think he plays a
Eastern
different
Washington
position. I don't even fucking know. But the quarterback you for a program at the FCS level, Carson was 15 and this guy's 21. To have two guys draft, one at 2 and one at 3, that's an incredible accomplishment in modern day football.
It is. Yeah, it is. Cooper Rush, Cowboys, Central Michigan, the fighting
Gotcha.
Jim McElwain's. All right, let's look at some throws, John. Here we go. We're going to look one at a time. We'll just talk about the throws as we look. We got this one hit slow-mo. John Middlecoff, former NFL scout. There's Kyle in the background, I think.
I don't know if that's Kyle.
No?
You think that's Kyle? I think that's his teammates.
You think Kyle's that guy's a little taller than Kyle?
Yeah, I think that's
and like
North
the
Dakota State
SID
guys.
on the right?
Yeah. I don't love, if I'm nitpicking here, Peyton Manning's key on, when you do a play action fake, you pretend it's a real handoff and you sell that. Don't
You talking
love
about the empty hand?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the ball hand. We got to really sell it. Again, nitpicking. But we can do a little better sell job. That's something that Kyle and McDaniels will hammer home once you get into camp.
Give it 5 minutes. The ball will land. Hold on. We got this in super slow-mo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, let's.
Quick. Watch you got to sell it, guy. I need those linebackers coming up. See, you got to remember Peyton was always really extending.
Yeah. You know what it is, John? It's a coaching point. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in OTA Zooms. Okay. Anything else you want to see on this throw? I mean, deep ball. We'll see a couple other deep throws here.
Good snap.
What do you think about the ball location? Tight spiral. NFL football.
Oh, really, really tight. NFL ball. Looks like they got some suites up there.
Golden.
I don't see any.
Is that Citibank? Golden Citibank.
Hits him right, a little underthrown.
Okay. Scooch a little to your right there. I don't want to keep covering up your face here with these videos. All right, next. See, this throw right here, to me, maybe someone could find me a video that would refute the point I'm about to make. This is the throw. This is why I don't like the Colin Kaepernick comp. Because I don't think Colin had that touch coming out of college.
No, he didn't. I mean, I don't think he really had it in the pros. This was not a throw that he did well, right? Because to me, this throw is it slow mo? No, is it slow motion or normal motion?
Yeah, it feels like it slows down for a second, but
to me, this feels like the Niners. Little crossing route right there with Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. A little play action. You roll back, whoop, dump it off. This is a Kyle Shanahan while he's on the sideline. Like, I doubt this bad boy up on Wednesday. Get ready, fellas. Right? And this is just one of those where they get 40 yards, and George Kittle says after the game, Kyle told us it would work, and then boom, we fucking ran it in 45 yards, blink of an eye.
Yep.
Guy wide open. Steal a couple safeties, move him that way with some crossing routes the other way, bring the guy on a little delayed route. Doesn't this feel very Green Bay Packers, Niners, Rams, like shit like this?
To me, there's no reason that might not be Kittle, too.
Could be Kittle, yeah. Delay a little block and then take off.
River Craycraft. Okay. By the way, so you and I were watching this video, and I said to you, we looked at the tweet, and I said, oh, yeah, this is JT Man, whatever the Twitter handle was. And we did a quick search of who that was, and Detective Middlecoff, that's Jordan Matthews that he's throwing to, John. Jordan Matthews, who was active has been on the Niners twice. Practice squad, was active for the last 2 games of the year last year. Detective Middlecoff found that one.
Once, I think, went in a draft over Jarvis Landry and Devontae Adams to Chip Kelly, and has made his way throughout his career to the Niners. So that's not nothing, right? Why would you want Jordan Matthews to run this? And it's people I saw on the internet streets, I don't even know what platform, was like, well, yeah, John, North Dakota State, they might not have wide receivers that are on his level. Well, yeah, I understand that, but you think Jordan Matthews just like comes out of the sky? Like of all the wide receivers you could find all over the country, just random guys, they just end up with Jordan Matthews. No, couldn't you just do? Let's just play a link game. Trey Lance has been trading with with John Beck, who is Kyle Shanahan's guy. John Beck's going to need wide receivers running Kyle Shanahan's stuff. Kyle Shanahan links him up with Jordan Matthews, who just wants to train with somebody. You start playing these connections. Now, as also on the internet streets, Fields wouldn't need that, right? They have enough guys at that program that are NFL guys that you could ask to run these things, right? He's playing with NFL wide receivers. So I'm not saying that, like, why wasn't Jordan Matthews at Fields? Well, because he's playing with blue chippers.
Yeah. I think this shows when people talk about the Niners are controlling Trey, and Barrows wrote about the John Beck thing, and Dan Graziano of ESPN said on Monday morning that the Niners were in control, very much in control of the Trey Lance Pro Day. I think we just assumed like, oh, they're going to run some things out of the Niners playbook. But this is significant too, right? You don't think Jordan Matthews you don't think Kyle can call up Jordan Matthews and say, what's he like? What's he been like for you to work with? Not to mention, it's what that if something goes wrong on a play, it wasn't Jordan Matthews, because Jordan Matthews knows what he's supposed to be doing, right?
Jordan Matthews, when Chip Kelly drafted him, like his off the field guy is like a Kirk Cousins, a Matt Ryan. Like it's not random that Kyle likes this guy too. This is their type, New England, just the ultimate human. And I would imagine Kyle gravitates to this. Now, he's physically limited. I mean, he's probably not really a borderline NFL player anymore. But like back to what you just said, I do think Kyle really trusts the human being. And he could probably tell him things that maybe you could tell other people that you wouldn't trust. They might tweet something out. They might start saying stuff. Maybe you can just have conversations with Jordan Matthews about a player that just is one-on-one and doesn't get out. Yep. Hey, man, we'll bring you back. Just I got some things to ask you.
Yep.
Maybe they're all in cahoots.
Well, if you're Jordan Matthews, even if there's no promise from Kyle Shanahan, if you're Jordan Matthews, you do this in a heartbeat. It only helps you out, and maybe one day you become Kyle. Maybe he's Kyle Shanahan's receivers coach in 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's only good.
You think we should hit up Jordan Matthews and see if he wants to come on and talk about it? Do you kind of like that idea? I'm going to write that down.
I love that idea. And I love that you and I, our first reaction, we'll get to a couple more clips here in a second, but we saw this video and you and I were both like, oh, whoever J-Matt is, one of Trey Lance's teammates, this is great exposure for him. And then it just took a little click and you go, oh, it's Jordan Matthews.
I know. My first thought was that this guy, the North Dakota State's fringe draftable wide receiver, he is telling his parents, every family member he's ever had, he's getting all this social run. This today was his Super Bowl. Like my thinking was like, I bet that guy didn't sleep that much last night. Knowing Belichick, Kyle, and all these guys are going to be there.
As we're doing the live video, James says, "Can y'all get Jordan Matthews on the podcast like tomorrow?" Everybody DM or tweet at Jordan Matthews. Okay, let's see. What did we just see? We just saw this. Next up, here's another Trey Lance throw.
The videographer is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty cool.
You got to follow the ball, John. This is it's not as hard as golf. You need this bigger.
You think it's hard in golf?
I think following the golf ball has to be, from what I've heard, and baseball, like guys who are able to follow the baseball going out of the ballpark, just one of the hardest things to do.
Oh, it's a skill. You're saying if you just took me or you and put us on the camera,
no way. I think these are some of the most skilled camera people in sports.
You think we'd have no shot?
Golf. I think you'd have no shot. I think we would have no shot at following. Keep in mind, the cameras, now I don't know what they're using here. The cameras for golf are big. Like, it's not just like, hold it up to your eye and just, I mean, John, I don't know. We've been to golf events. It's hard enough to follow. I can't, full disclosure, follow my own golf ball, if I'm really being honest.
That's true. So, it's easier doing a football going 50 yards.
All right, what do we do with this?
I mean, overall, guy, the kid has a big fucking arm, right? I mean, I think we know that. He's got a big arm. He's got big arm strength. I think this guy is viewed, and I got a text from someone from a playoff team that are like, wait till the Niners draft Trey Lance. And then I had an NFL reporter in another major market that was like, I think it's Trey Lance. Just see, and you know what? And the NFL reporter was like, I kind of think they're viewing him as their Mahomes, their Allen, just like their project with all these tools, super high character. You just kind of mold. And this goes back to what we've been talking about of, I've been adamant Jimmy's going to go next week. I might have to pull back my prediction if this player is the guy.
And you wouldn't even feel bad about it. By the way, on this video, look at the guy in the middle. See the guy in the left of the video kneeling. Look at that the guy in the black. He thinks I do this too. I'm short, but you walk under something that you think is low and you duck. This guy thinks he's about to get hit. He's ducking. The guy in the black T-shirt in the middle, he's ducking. Like, bro, you're not 80 feet tall.
Also, he's not throwing a frozen rope here. I mean, this is a deep ball.
All right, here's a ball to.
You and I, before we jumped on, talked about this a little bit. If it was true, and we didn't believe it, we've been adamant from the jump that we red flagged the Mac Jones situation. But let's just say that's true. You end up going to the pro days, which Kyle normally does not do. And that was to like put off red flags. Now he doesn't have anything to hide. He's gone all three of these guys' pro days. If you just go watch someone throw, and that's the number one thing you're doing at a pro day is watching the ball. Like, Mac's not a great athlete. You kind of have an idea who's the athlete, right? It goes probably Justin Fields, obviously Trey Lance, and then Mac Jones, a different category of those guys. You know that going in. But just watching the ball come out of their hands would be like going to watch Rory hit golf balls and then just going to watch some other just random good player at another course. I mean, it's just you can't see these guys throw with your own eyes, Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and think like when we've just talked about during the season, talking about the power of arms and Josh Allen, even if you thought that and this is why I think pro days can be a huge red flag for people because it can manipulate your thinking. If you did love the player, this is not football. This is playing pitch and catch. And when you're really skilled, we have seen some of the biggest busts in draft history put on the greatest pro days, right? Like Jamarcus put on a notoriously great pro day where it was like, I've never seen arm strength like that. Playing quarterback is more than that. But I think these two guys, right, aren't just like, their film really sucked, but God, look at this talent. They both were high-level players. How could you put Mac Jones in the same conversation as these two guys?
Yeah, that's where the arguments for Mac Jones come from other things that don't happen in a pro day, right? If you're drafting him, you think it's because it's what happens when there's 11 on 11. You think he's going to be more accurate. You think he's going to make smarter decisions. You think he'll process faster.
But then, okay, let's take another step. If I'm Kyle and I feel comfortable with these guys, football intelligence and work ethic, don't I go like, I think I can develop that?
Absolutely.
Because I go back to Mac Jones. I go, you were tweeting about it like Alabama had 50,000 people to watch the greatest coach ever conduct a spring game. And Sarkisian, who, whatever you thought about him in the USC Washington days, he kind of changed the perception of his career these last 3 years as like pretty dynamic guy. He became the head coach at Texas. Like the coaching, if elite coaching, the best you can be is a 10. Mac Jones got 100%. It doesn't get any better. On top of that, 4 wide receivers in the top 15 back-to-back years. Like it just, to me, there are so many arguments of like, guys, can it get any better for him? Like it just, I'm not trying to diminish his accomplishments, but goddamn, I mean,
I agree. I do think you go down that road though, and you go, okay, let's talk about Ohio State. Let's talk about North Dakota State, right? These are two of the premier programs at their levels, right? With premier talent, premier coaching.
But like we saw Alabama play Ohio State, and Ohio State's a powerhouse, and it looked like varsity versus JV. The game.
Yeah, I mean yeah.
Right.
I agree. I just don't know that I can break ties on that stuff because I'd say, okay, he's not at Alabama, but
I do think. I don't know if I don't know if there's a huge conversation going. Like if the Niners have just known who they were taking forever. But if you're really talking this out, like truly over the last month of everything you've gathered, you would be having some heated debates because you could have a different person in the room and have conviction on every side, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is, if we were a debate class, you could construct elite arguments for fucking all three guys.
For sure.
And argue till the cows come home.
Great narratives on every of them because ultimately what is going to be the winner is the thing that when you're making the argument, right, the best arguments are constructed with facts and logic, and the thing that's going to determine whoever they pick reaching their ceiling is the thing that we don't we don't know. There are things we just don't know and cannot measure. That'll be up to Kyle Shanahan to make the most of.
Because they could truly justify all 3 picks with tangible data, right? touchdowns, wins,
easily make yes.
physical attributes, all three guys.
Yep.
They're going to say we felt the best about this guy moving forward.
And that's
right?
where John Beck is. That's where John Beck's such a big part of this equation.
What if he's business partners with Jordan Matthews now?
Yeah, that's right. Because he's working with them. Right? Like, to me, if I'm Jordan Matthews, I become, a partner in whatever Beck QB school or whatever it's called. And then I, like Warren Sharp, right? I sell the information I have about the quarterbacks to the teams interested. Here, I will come in as a consultant, right? I'm a receiver consultant for the quarterbacks that you guys are scouting.
Well, won't it make sense if John Beck is going to consistently train all these guys to get ready for this offense that's more and more in vogue? He can just spend his time with the quarterbacks, that you get someone working with the wide receivers, and the wide receivers, where do you want to go? You want to know the routes of all those teams drafting the wide receivers, right?
Right.
I'd argue you guys are only scratching the surface of your lucrative business proposition. Keep it up, Jordan. You're a smart guy, and if you come on the podcast tomorrow, I'll recommend ask about a percentage of this company. Say you want in.
Let's look at some YouTube comments here, John, regarding this subject. Well, see, here's the other thing. So QB Film Room says, why are the odds now at plus 250 for Lance at 3? The odds have, first of all, been moving all over the place, and I think it also, where are you seeing that would be my question, because they're different in different places.
Yeah. I would not feel comfortable placing a bet on this pick. But I mean, I don't have inside information, but I'm just saying if you just put a round number, $500, and said you were going to throw it somewhere, I wouldn't feel comfortable on any of the bet. Like, my heart would be beating leading up to it, even if it was like that's pretty good odds. I'd say, hey, Middlecoff, you can get almost 2.5 to 1 Trey Lance. Like that, I think that's a pretty good bet. But I would not feel great about like winning $1,500.
Let me see what we're looking at the third.
Or I guess it'd be $1,250.
I'm looking at a. So right now. Yeah, right now my bookie has Justin Fields at minus 300.
Okay.
Trey Lance, which means you bet 100 to win $33. Trey Lance is plus 400. You bet 100 to win 400. And Mac Jones is plus 110.
I think Trey Lance at plus 400 is pretty good odds, don't you?
Yeah.
I actually might put a little money in right now. That feels like a pretty good bet.
So I got Lance 2 days ago at plus 700 to go third overall.
Someone texts me that they know someone that put $10,000 on Fields to go 3.
Whew.
I'd have to listen. Money's all relative. That guy might be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but so it's the equivalent of me and you putting $5. But just assume that $10,000 is a substantial wager to the individual. I'd have to have inside knowledge before I did that's good value, like that's like there would.
It's not good value if they've never considered it.
Yeah, to me, there is. I view like betting on a game or like an athlete, golf, NBA, basketball. Good value is a lot different than betting on a draft, right? Because you cannot believe anything you're reading. Like, you'd have to have some sort of tip-off.
I think most sports situations Vegas has inside information. On this one, I don't think their information's any more inside than anybody else's.
I would tend to agree. But like their inside information on, let's say, like it's Raiders Chiefs week 1, and we're like, God, the Raiders. They're getting 14 points or something. Do they know something we don't? We could just say that's pretty good value, right? We have a pretty good feel. Guy, you have unless Kyle Shanahan, who I would say for all younger coaches at any like head coach, OC, it feels like is leaking the least amount of shit that is truthful, and you're just going to go off what you think you're reading on the internet. Like, that's pretty bold. As someone that's followed this team to pay my bills for like the last 4 years, I don't know if I could put more than $100 down. And I'm actually at 400. That's pretty good. But I mean, I would not put $500 on Trey Lance at 4 to 1, even though I think that's a fucking pretty good bet. But I'm basing it on nothing besides some texts I've gotten from people that they think that too. Like, yeah, we've thrown around in our draft room. What if this happens? Like, that's what if. A lot of what ifs,
I screwed something up here on the video. I mean, we're fine. I just I don't know what I did to the bottom, but Wine Access is back there, by the way. Don't forget. That's where if you're the owner, you tell one friend who puts a $100,000 bet on it.
I think they're pretty careful about that stuff. I'd assume, but who knows? I mean, Phil Mickelson was taking side deals from a dude that was insider trading, so you never know. I mean, you don't think straight all the time.
How about this? Edward says, "Can you give us a preview of what you would talk about if Mac Jones is the pick?"
Yeah,
it'd be like the scene from Home Alone. There's your preview.
I'm not thinking about it until it happens.
Will, even if I was rich, I would not put $5 on a really iffy bet. I would if I was,
Yeah.
I bet you would.
Money's all relative.
I bet you would. Jesse says they should do a prop bet on which draftee's girlfriend will do something to embarrass the drafted player. Who was that? Who his girlfriend tried to see his phone, and then they said no, it was just his sister. Was that
It was CeeDee Lamb.
I knew it was an or a receiver. What was the final word on that story?
I don't think there was one.
No one ever got to the bottom of it?
No. I mean, if she's smart, she's still around.
All right.
Wine Access?
Yeah, Wine Access, people. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to talk a little. We got some more stuff to get to. But before we go any further, tell them.
I see a lot of people watching right now.
Thanks
if
for
you
being
guys,
here. We'll get to more YouTube comments, by the way.
Yeah,
up.
if you guys need some presents to give out to friends, to yourself, I mean, guy, how do you beat this? WineAccess.com/ham. 20% off. You can order individual bottles. You can set up a monthly subscription. You can send bottles of wine to family members, to friends, to your wife for a present. I think Mother's Day is right around the corner. I saw on the internet streets Mother's Day.
I usually find out about that last minute.
So wineaccess.com/ham. I got multiple bottles here right here.
This place is high level. I mean, we got to talk to him the other day. I think only 1 in 18 bottles get the pass. Satisfaction guaranteed. So you get the bottle, you don't like it. They've got a team of sommeliers. If they're not unanimously approving them, then the bottle doesn't make it onto the list. And again, you can subscribe to the wine club. It's not necessary. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You can go buy one bottle, and they work with wineries, winemakers all over the world, and they've got a satisfaction guarantee. If for whatever reason you don't like the bottle you ordered, they will get you another bottle of something. No questions asked. So wineaccess.com, use the promo code HAM, 20% off your first order.
No, /ham.
/ham, excuse me.
/ham. Wineaccess.com/ham.
And if you're newbies like us, or not newbies, but just amateur wine drinkers like us, every bottle of wine tells you about the wine, tells you how to use the wine, what to pair it with, whole deal.
Get on it, fellas.
All right.
Get on it.
We'll get back to some, Will says, I just put $5 on Lance. I feel like Lance is their guy. Oh, should we address this?
Bold bet there, Phil.
$5. Holding your breath. You're really going to feel your heart beat on that one. When and where can I buy a ham hat? Should we address that real quick here?
Well, I mean, what's the plan?
Do you have one nearby? You want to show it? Because I got a stack of them. Yeah, we should. I think, John, it's safe to say, cut me off if I'm saying something I shouldn't say, that on the podcast that we'll do tomorrow and on our Instagram pages, we will give you details on how to get a ham hat. Promo code HAM. Some would call it the Shanahan hat. Draft hat. Tomorrow we'll have details on our Instagram pages announced via the pictures will be on the Instagram page. We'll tell you the details on the podcast, and that's so that we could get your money ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Get your orders ready. Okay, we got more Trey Lance stuff coming in, so we'll get to more comments on that merch drop. That's right. That's our first merch drop. Can we talk about Alex Smith for a second here?
Yes.
I mean, you and I both watched the Alex Smith, I think it was called Project 11 that ESPN did over the pandemic. It aired several months ago, and it was really incredible because it told us about the physical hardships that he had, even though we knew it was crazy, we knew his career we thought was over at the time, it was even more clear about exactly how bad the injury was. I remember at the time, Eric Branch, who covers the Niners, made a point to point out that when you watch the Alex Smith doc, it said viewer discretion advised. Like, that's not usually typical for. I mean, the injury photos were just stunning. I think for me in my life, having watched his entire career, right, at an age when I could process it, it's one of the most mentally tough, physically tough combinations of a pro career that I've ever seen. Given how easily he could have busted and been out of the league, and then definitely how easily he could not have come back at the end.
Yeah, I think it shows you, it's just a good life lesson that some things are out of your control. And obviously the industry he's in football, they select you don't select them, right? When he got drafted to the 49ers, it's easy. I mean, we have multiple administrations since that time that took the team to the Super Bowl, so you can just kind of get lost in translation. You and I were a couple years into college, and I stopped paying attention to them because they became such a joke. The running theme was, do you remember that the USC Trojans could beat the Niners? And then it was like, oh, could they sign Pete Carroll and Matt Leinart? And neither guy wanted to come. And it was like Matt Leinart went back in the draft. Now it turns out Matt Leinart was like a way better version of like Matt Barkley, but he was probably not a number 1 overall pick. But still, like, Pete Carroll did not want the Niners job. I just remember that being a theme in college. And looking back, no, he didn't. Like, USC, it all worked out for Pete. The Niners were just a laughingstock. And looking back, Mike Nolan was the head coach, who might be an all-time fraud. I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but like, just look last year with the Cowboys. Like, he might have just benefited right place, right time. He was an assistant coach on the Ravens that, I don't know, had some of the greatest players in the history of football on defense. Like, Rex Ryan was a part of that staff too. As it aged, like, Rex Ryan knows what he's talking about with defense. And, as a head coach, took the Jets to a couple AFC championships. Like, say what you want about Rex. Rex and Mike Nolan have little to nothing in common. And Mike Nolan tanked the franchise. Now, part of it was Jed's parents, because at the time, Jed was not, quote unquote, like, his parents didn't put him in charge. It was like Denise, or not, yeah, Dr. York. And it was a disaster. That was a really, really ugly stretch. And somehow, like, Puig coming to America fighting sharks, like, Alex just fucking prevailed and just stayed, kept his head above water. I'll never forget Harbaugh's first year, and he convinced him to come back, because when I was with the Eagles, we tried to sign him as a backup quarterback.
Well, he was a free agent running, remember, lockout workouts.
Andy Reid loved him.
You tried to get him on the Dream Team? Wasn't that the Dream Team year?
Yeah, offered him $5 million to be the backup.
So if Alex had signed, Vince Young never would have come and called it the Dream Team.
Nope, never would have happened. And Alex, who knows? Maybe Andy, just with Alex there, we had talent on offense. Vince Young was terrible. It was a disaster. Now, it shows you how it kind of worked out. Andy got his guy. They beat the Detroit Lions in a game, the game where Bob Lang fights off Schwartz and Harbaugh. And Harbaugh gives this incredible. And remember, post-game speeches with the Niners were going viral at the time. Who's got it better than us? Clap hands, shake hands. Like, he just had these. He was a tornado of content for NFL.
What was the name of the guy that did the song? Remember the rap song, Who's Got It Better Than Us?
Oh, I don't know.
Such a good song.
And Harbaugh looks at Alex. And Alex, remember, during this winning streak, when the team started playing pretty well, they ended up being the number 1 overall seed. Alex was throwing for like 180 yards a game. It was not like 300 yards. Like, you go back and look at the stats of that first year with Harbaugh, it was not eye-opening stats. And he goes, Alex, clutch! That was clutch! Alex made like one throw in like the final drive, that went through. But it was just this tornado, and then obviously everything that happened with Kaepernick the next year. But that, to me, that Niners, for as cool as everything that happened with Kansas City, and he just kind of got to get his credibility as an NFL player.
Yeah.
Now, I'd argue the credibility came with Harbaugh. The validation came with Andy when he became a good player. But like, it finally worked out for him with the Niners, right? That was a cool year and a half. And then he ultimately kind of got Wally pipped by Kaepernick, and they end up with the Super Bowl. And I think he talks about that in the in the documentary how it wasn't easy. Maybe that was somewhere else I saw him talking about. I mean, it was tough. It was Graham Bessinger. It was Graham Bessinger when he talks about he talked about getting like playing the best football he'd ever had, and then he gets benched.
It might have been that interview, or maybe it was the doc. Maybe it was in both. To me,
Graham's
one
got
of the
a great guest booker.
He does. That he knew. He's like, I didn't know a lot, but I knew this is not how successful places operate. That the culture was not healthy. The whole culture of the building. That's what he said. It wasn't like bad locker room. He said the whole culture of the building. That might have been the Graham interview.
Same deal. It was like a 7-minute soliloquy on it.
And it was like, whoa. And I think one of the most, especially now with hindsight, embarrassing displays I've ever seen from a football coach. And maybe this is one of I'm sure Andy Reid liked him for a lot of reasons, but remember, the Niners were playing the Eagles on Sunday Night Football in 2010. Eagles-Niners. And Singletary gets into a shouting match, and the crowd's chanting for David Carr, and Singletary gets Carr warming up as the crowd is chanting, "We want Carr." And afterwards, Singletary basically said, I was challenging Alex to see if he had it in him. And it's like, the fuck he did have. Like, you bet. Yes, Alex, nobody has ever doubted that Alex Smith had it in him. That, to me, was one of the most. Remember, Alex played. Like, David didn't come in. It was just like, let's get him warmed up to see how Alex reacts. Like, what are you doing to this guy? The guy had 3 head coaches. In 7 seasons, he had 7 offensive coordinators. And he still finished his Niners career the way he finished it. And then he had his Chiefs run. And then he has what should have been the knockout punch. And then not only does he come back from this, like, you know, he's got to go to Texas to go to where soldiers who have had their legs blown off rehab. Not only does he come back from, I thought, you know, you start talking like, is he ever going to come back? And my thought was like, yeah, he'll come back, take a knee, hold the ball in the air, and that'll be his final football moment. Like, he made it back to the field. But that's not what happened. Like, he actually played. I don't have any point of reference to compare this to. I just know if he had never gotten hurt, he had already had one of the most impressive quarterback careers I'd seen, given the amount of dysfunction he had to overcome.
Guy, he went to Washington when Andy traded him there. And I don't think it was easy. It just one of those things they didn't have a choice, you know, with Mahomes. I mean, they made the right decision. They were 6-2 when he got hurt. Like, the Washington football team at the time they were the Redskins were a disaster. They got Alex Smith and they were winning. Like, they would have been a playoff team if Alex never gets hurt. I also think the best part about Alex's career is that he had the little taste with Harbaugh and, like, played in the big games, played that NFC Championship game against Eli, which the only guy that's tougher now. I mean, Eli's performance in that game was legendary, right? I mean, Eli got the shit beat out of him. He just kept coming. That was a legendary game. Like, that was like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I'm kidding, but that was a heavyweight fight.
Hasn't happened yet.
It was cool, though, that for a 4-year stretch or 5-year stretch, he got to play in a ton of big games with Andy and the Chiefs. Like, their team was a playoff team basically every year. I think they missed it one year going 9-7. All he did was win. All he did was play in big games. They were going toe-to-toe. Rivers had some good teams. Obviously, Peyton Manning had some really good teams. He had one of the best games of his career, remember, against Andrew Luck in that playoff game, and they lost when the Chiefs' defense Luck threw that touchdown at the end. It was just an incredible. It's one of the great wild card games of, like, the last decade. I can't remember the score, but if memory, it was like 45-40 or so. It was crazy. I mean, it was just this ultimate shootout, and Alex was unreal.
He was.
I think that would have been like 2014, maybe 2013. It was just an awesome game.
13.
Yeah, it was
13, 45-44. Alex was 30 of 46 for 4 touchdowns, 378 yards.
What was Luck?
29 of 45, so almost identical numbers. Okay, 30-46, 29-45, 443, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks.
What a game.
Alex also ran for 57 yards on 8 carries in that game. How about that?
I just think Alex.
Don't forget, John. Remember was that the year that he didn't throw a Dwayne Bowe caught a touchdown in that game? What was the year he didn't throw a touchdown to passing touchdown to a receiver?
Might have been that year. Yeah, it might have been that year. Because remember the next year they signed Jeremy Maclin to like $40 million.
AJ Jenkins had a catch.
I saw you might have been at some of these games too, like in the Dennis Allen Raider games when Andy, like that team, like they weren't quite a Super Bowl contender because I don't think they had the high end, but they were one of those 10-11 win teams. If they played a bad team, they boat raced the Raiders. Like it was a joke. Remember, he was just throwing screen passes to Jamal. It was like, Is this practice? Because
was it 5 touchdowns and a half, or what was the?
It was stupid. I don't know. It was outrageous.
What was
they
that
ran just wheel routes. It was like, whoop, whoop. They were good. They had really good defense. I'm glad Alex had a pretty awesome. They must have tweeted something out because I was watching NFL Network. I guess I don't know where Andy said this publicly, but I think maybe they put a statement out, congratulating him on the career. Andy said, if he wants to become a coach, I get first dibs. That was like the quote.
That's a great quote. I know this. When the Niners are back to Alex Smith needs a day at a 49er home game.
He's made a lot of money. I mean, probably closer to 200 million than 100 million would be my guess on career earnings. I do think he'd probably be a really good coach because he's a high level guy. He's smart, but he's like serious. Honestly, he kind of has like a Lincoln Riley type vibe to him because he has this good look, but he's also like really serious. He's not a screw around guy. What would you guess his career earnings are?
Yeah, I mean, he was a first round pick back when first round picks got free agency money, right?
He signed multiple deals in Kansas City, and then he signed a pretty big deal in Washington. Maybe 200 is pretty high. And maybe I'll go because he didn't sign a huge contract. I'll go 127.
I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to go like 180. I think
because he was making 20. Yeah,
he was a quarterback in the modern NFL too.
Yeah, starter for 15 years, 120, 140.
Let's see, 16 years.
Long time.
John, if he averaged 10 million a year, there's 160. Yeah, and he didn't average 10 a year.
Yeah, you're right. 210. Yeah, you're right. 20s adds up when you get 10 years of 20, right?
I mean, John, his Washington contract was $55 million guaranteed at signing.
So what was their total?
It's got to be over 2. Hold on, looking. One. See, how do I add this up here? It's got a bunch of random numbers.
You just go to career earnings.
Where?
On Spot Track.
No, this says 180, not 190. But I think it's. Yeah, it says 190.
That's a decent chunk of change. So I was right. It was closer to 200 than it was 100.
Yeah.
And it was basically 200. That's a lot of money to become a coach, right?
But again, you're right. John, he didn't need the money when
I got 189,725.
Yeah.
Is that the number you got?
Yeah. He didn't need the money when he came back to prove that he could still play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's a football junkie.
Clearly loves it.
I think he's a junkie.
If he weren't hurt, would he still be playing? If he hadn't had the injury, do you think he'd be?
Yeah, 1 million. He'd be a starter in the NFL. Think about the coaches that swear by Alex. Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, Andy Reid. And I know this guy kind of became a joke, but I do think when he got him, I think Jay Gruden wasn't like laughed at.
I would guess. I think we could probably throw Ron Rivera on that boat. Would be my bet if we asked Ron.
Yeah.
Riverboat Ron.
How did Ron Rivera not respect the hell out of him? I think Ron was an Army brat growing up, wasn't he?
I think so.
To go through something like that.
So. Oh, man. How about the what do you think of this? We were looking at this and we're like, wait a second. When do they pick? Do they have any draft picks?
Yeah, the first pick's 57. I looked before we jumped on here. That draft room kind of sucks.
It does.
Is that just for television? Right.
You think that's where they're going to just do their interviews from, maybe?
Well, I'm just saying, did they just set up that room as like you would on a Hollywood set? Like, that's not really anything.
Yeah, it's just like a fake draft board. It's a fake.
But there was a picture. Did you get the one of Sean just standing there by himself? Where was he?
I did not get that picture.
You don't even worry about it then. He was just in a jumpsuit. It looked like in the house.
The Cliff Kingsbury. Here we go. Yeah. That one.
See, that's not in that room, is it? Or is it? You're right.
No, I think it is.
I think it is. One thing I'll give Sean McVay, he does not put on normal clothes very often. Like when he's in his football, when he's doing like in Hard Knocks, any picture I see with the Rams, he stays pretty true to the coaching outfit. Like he does not just like he could easily right there have like jeans and a collared shirt on or something.
Yeah.
But you being a coach, you can always just like I'm a football coach, right? He has the I'm a football coach. I'm gonna wear the football coach clothes they give me.
Wouldn't you?
I mean,
You think you'd wear jeans a little more?
well, just going to this house to go do some bullshit, I'd probably.
But here's the thing: they probably want you in the logo.
Yeah, what I'd probably do is I'd have on like golf shorts. I'd have the Rams pullover on and sandals. That'd be
I'll tell
my
you, I don't know, but I don't wear sweatpants outside of the house. I don't think I look good in them. I feel a little uncomfortable. I feel too casual wearing. Now you can do the Lululemon type pant thing, and it's just as good.
He's wearing sweats though.
Yeah, I don't. Again, so you're right. I probably wouldn't do that. But
he has the outfit like if an OTA broke out, he could just hit the field right and go. The one thing you'd say about Sean McVay,
there's no OTAs breaking out, John.
But any moment's notice, like coaching points on the field, he's just ready. Where Kyle would probably have to change. Like I do respect. Again, they're just different, but Kyle just wears normal clothes more often, I feel like. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, he does wear joggers everywhere, it seems like.
Yeah, but again, like joggers are the new jeans.
But I feel like those are sweats.
But I think you just see a lot of people
band
in California wearing joggers as like
they're
normal clothes.
They're probably a trimmer fit. Maybe they look a little less sweatpant-y.
So you think they're sweatpants? I think they're more like, the material.
Like running pants type?
Yeah, that are like nicer than sweatpants, that are kind of lighter. Right. That if someone sees you casually, you're like, oh, those are pretty good pants. Where'd you get them?
Yeah. A guy called Ed says in an interview, Alex said his wife doesn't want him to become a coach. Did not know that.
I think a lot of wives don't want their husbands to become coaches, and then they
like pay cut.
That's true. Yeah. You think, wait, you don't pay $23 million for quarterback coach?
It's got to be. Luckily,
there aren't many humans. It just shows you when you're making that type of money. You're like, wait, you're only paying me $750,000.
I know.
Like, do we get bonus incentives here? Like, what? No, just you get $750,000 divided by 12, and then divide that. We pay you every 2 weeks.
I guess if you're a coach, you get paid 52 weeks out of the year, though, right?
Yeah, but did you see the NFL change? They usually used to pay you 16. I guess it was now going to be 17 weeks. It's now going to be over 34 weeks.
Which I'd be pissed about. Like, no, I don't need you holding my money for me.
Yeah, they say time value money. You always want to get as much money possible immediately.
So, we've got a lot.
If you're like Belichick or Kyle or Andy and you make $10 million a year or close to it, do the math. I mean, it's getting close to like $800,000 every month. It's good revenue flow. That's how I'd look. You make salary? No, I get revenue. You have salary, but I get $800,000 of it a month.
Plus a car from the dealership.
Yeah.
Runaway Turtle. Alden Smith seems like he can't get it right. I hope he was like falsely accused of a fight.
Yeah, it's kind of sad at this point.
I mean, God. Okay. Live draft night stream, although at this rate we might just be on live every day anyway. Yeah. But draft night will be here when the Jags are on the clock. Ham is on the tube. Just remember that. You don't need no times. It's probably around 5 o'clock. When the Jags are on the clock, Ham is on the tube.
Yeah, when you're searching the internet, just come check us out. We'll be there.
Yeah.
I really want you guys to go wineaccess.com/ham. 20% off. Get some presents for your people.
We'll pop a bottle for Alex Smith today. Draft night, we'll pop a bottle. Have your cork ready for Corks for McCorkle, John. Corks for McCorkle. No, you don't like that one?
No.
Corks for McCorkle Jones?
I don't know who's McCorkle. Is that his real
Mac
name?
Jones' real name is McCorkle. Corks for McCorkle.
You're saying Mac Jones' real name is McCorkle?
Mac Jones' real name is McCorkle. Yeah.
I had no clue. I just thought you were like trying to make a joke. Is that what most Macs, their real names are McCorkle?
I don't think so.
Because I've known a few Macs in my life.
A lot of times Mac is like I don't think that's, somebody can tell us. So
his real name is actually Michael.
Michael McCorkle Jones. Yeah.
So his name, we call him Mac Jones, is actually a nickname based on his middle name. That's
Right.
an extreme manipulation of a name.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you have to avoid Mike, right?
No, Mike or Michael is a great. I mean, it's a staple American name. I'd say Mac is pretty fucking sweet. If I wouldn't mind if I was like Mac middle. Like I think Mac is that's a badass
Mac's
name.
a great name. It's his mom's maiden name. It's his middle.
Because you also, how many Macs? It's not one of those overplayed kind of unique name. There aren't many of them.
No.
Can you think of any other Macs?
Mac Williamson.
Concussion.
Shooty Babbitt. I think people call him Mac. Maybe his son's name's Mac.
I haven't heard that one.
Anybody else know? That must explain this nickname.
Macaroni.
Other Macs. Mac. I feel like there've been some. Oh, Mac. Wasn't there? His last name
Khalil?
was Mac, I guess. Yeah. And the Colts had a running back that was a last name Mac.
Yeah, I think he tore his ACL. Mac's a sweet last name because you can just do Khalil Mack is a badass name. That's just of like NFL names in the history of just sweet names. Like if you just say Khalil Mack, do you think that guy was a good player? You're like, yeah, I'd probably lean he was pretty good. You could have argued he was destined to be sweet just based off his name coming out of college. I just didn't know. I mean, I don't spend that much time on McCorkle. I just don't think about the player probably as much as many fans have done. Like I haven't done deep dives on Mac. Like I don't know. I haven't spent that much of my time.
You're saving it for OTAs.
Yeah. Like what else is there to find out? I've watched a special on him. I've watched a lot of Alabama. Maybe I feel like I feel pretty comfortable with the player.
I just figured out what ham means. I've been watching the show for over a year.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine we have a lot of things in our lives that we think we know that we actually don't know, that we just say a lot. We don't even think that much into it.
Yeah.
You only have so much brain space. I think that I was thinking about this the other night. I feel like we're going on a podcast right now. Is I realized why I don't consume like I'll see an NBA game on. I'm like, I'm not even going to watch that because I only have so much brain space the older I get for the things that I have to do in life. And it's like when I was younger, maybe responsibilities were less and people rely on you less, and I don't know. But you could just watch an unlimited amount of sports. And I saw someone say this on Twitter, and so true. Really, like sports talk is the number one skill to have is kind of just remembering shit. Just like pulling up, like, remember what this guy did in 08? Like, yeah. It's not really that crazy of a skill. Like,
really, it would have been a better skill in 1995 before the internet. But
100%. It's kind of an irrelevant skill now. Right, if you become like, hey man, I'm an architectural engineer. Like, what do you do? I build bridges.
I can't Google that one.
That's really hard. Like, I talk about breakdown baseball 5 days a week on WFAN. It's basically just reiterating stuff that happened to the Yankees the last couple decades, right? Just, do you remember it or not? I don't have time to remember new shit that I'm not going to talk about that we need to talk about. I've cut out the fat.
Cut out the fat. Yeah. But then a bunch of other stuff that just interests you that you don't know it for any reason other than it interests you.
100%.
Mac Brown, Mac Dre. Daniel says, I didn't know Guy's name was Guy the first time I heard John saying Guy. You just thought he was calling me Guy.
I've had several people say that to me over the years.
They didn't know your name was John?
They didn't know your name was Guy.
I remember as a kid.
They thought I acknowledged you as Guy.
Not a thing people say much anymore. I remember as a kid, the UPS guy one time dropping off a package called me Guy, and I thought he knew my name. I didn't know that was a thing that, I was probably 5, 6. I didn't know that was like slang. I remember when you and I went to Pebble, we were driving back. We stopped at a Taco Bell or maybe a Wendy's.
Taco Bell Salinas.
Taco Bell. And, now the girl behind the thing was 15 years old. She was stunned that my name was, she kept asking, like, your name really Guy? Because, if you're 15, you probably have never heard that name. People our age, most people just haven't, I've never met another person named Guy. I have a lot of people tell me they know somebody named Guy. I've never met one. So,
you're a unique individual.
Let's start calling him. Everyone else is going McCorkle. You and I are going to call him Mike Jones.
Yeah.
Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
All right.
Adios, people.
On that note, everybody, subscribe. We appreciate you being here, hanging with us on the live stream. We'll be back. We got a live podcast tomorrow. You've been recording our podcast live, so we'll be back here on the tube tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's the game plan.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
May the
Good hanging.
May the peace be with you. See ya.